go-to podcast for 174 5-star potential, your weekly Football Manager podcast. I'm Doop, and on this week's pod, I am joined by Dave, aka Dave as a party. How are you, mate?
I'm very well, thank you, mate. How are you?
Yeah, I'm not too bad. Just the two of us today. Matt sends his apologies, and I mean there wasn't much to talk about in the FM world, so we kind of pushed our guest back for another week. So we got an exciting guest next week. Should we? No, we won't tease it. We won't tease it. But you know, maybe I'll put my hood up. Anyway, this week we'll be talking about the massive, and I mean massive, update from Football Manager dropped this week about FM25, and later we'll be talking about our FM24 saves, including a little cheeky network update, and apparently we played each other. So we'll get to that later. Trust me, we will. Okay, so Dave, look, we've put this podcast back as late as we could, just in case we wanted to kind of take everything in and see what's happened. So if you do not know, if you've been living under a rock, last Thursday, Football Manager dropped the massive news that the game will be delayed until March of next year. As you can imagine, this sparked massive debate, with many fans of the game hugely disappointed, and others coming up with ways that Sports Interactive could continue with the series as normal. So Dave, talk to me. What's your thoughts when this news dropped, man?
When I saw the post, I saw it first on Twitter. I thought it was a joke. I thought it was a joke account. I understand that there have been difficulties in Sports Interactive Football Manager. They've struggled a little bit this year. Obviously, I don't know the full reasoning. I would assume it's something to do with the new match engine, or the Unity that they're trying to bring into it, which is why it's a little bit later than normal anyway, or what we thought when it was towards the end of November. But real shock. Obviously, for me, I'm disappointed. I'm sort of sat on the fence in regards to my thoughts. You know, I'm as a Football Manager fan, I'm really disappointed by it. I can sort of side with a lot of people that are really upset about it. People throwing abuse and stuff at SI and FM, just like, what's the point? You know, it's a game at the end of the day. But yeah, ultimately, I am very disappointed, and I think this is two things to me. I think this is a massive dent in the reputation for Football Manager, and a massive dent into their fan base. I have no doubt. They've got a hell of a lot of making up to do. But the thing that confused me was just a week before, when they sort of announced an official date and opened it to pre-orders. For me, surely you would have had an inkling around then that there was going to be a little bit of trouble. And you know, you give yourself that little bit more time before you commit to offering pre-orders for people. But look, as an FM fan, I'm disappointed. Obviously, we are both lucky enough to either speak to people from the game, or have sort of we have been to the studios to talk to people, so we sort of understand how the game works behind the scenes. So there are certain things that we'll talk about later on in regards to transfer updates and stuff like that, which probably aren't actually physically possible, which I'm sure we'll talk about in more detail. But ultimately disappointed, and I'm really intrigued to see how the game from now on continues. Because it's been such a successful game, almost you could mark it on your calendar roughly when the game was going to drop, and this is like a massive curveball. And I am interested, not just by FM25, but from FM26 and onwards, how Football Manager and Sports Interactive sort of go about things.
I think you can probably tell from kind of the start of the podcast, the way that we're discussing this, that like we're obviously normally very happy and jolly and taking the mickey and constant jokes. It feels like, I'll be honest, it just feels like it's just a shot in the heart. Do you know what I mean? I'm a massive Football Manager fan. I make content on it most of the time, every week on Twitch if you want to come and watch. And look, I'm gonna go positive. And before I say that, I've seen so much stuff on Twitter. I'm lucky I don't read Reddit, because apparently Reddit's just an absolute awful place to be about the moment. But look, I'm gonna be completely open, honest, and put my balls on the table and tell you everything that I feel and the way that I am. Look, I'm not paid by Sports Interactive to come up positively on a podcast and kind of tell the world that I think everything's going to be okay. I'm going to say everything's going to be okay. First and foremost, it's only a game. I want to add that. I've seen, like you said, I'm going to touch on some of the things that Dave said about the fact that the abuse and all that. some of the shit that I saw on Twitter, man, like people calling for people's heads, people calling for people to be sacked. You know, these same people in their bios got like mental health matters, and they're jumping onto Twitter to slag people off and say, yeah, mental, right? These are people, and like you just don't need to be a prick about it. It's a video game first and foremost. The entitlement that you read on Twitter as well. Again, I'm not a fan. I'm not on Reddit, so I don't know. But apparently Reddit's pretty bad too. But like the entitlement is just mental. Okay, they don't have to bring a game out. They could just stop tomorrow and don't bring a game out. You know, if they choose to. We're very lucky that they are going to bring a game out. I also think that we're very lucky that I personally feel that FM25 is the best game they've ever made. And for me, I'll be honest with you, I've really enjoyed the Football Manager that I've played so far. And I was a little bit like kind of thinking, oh, what are we going to do if FM25 drops? It's not as good, not as enjoyable. Where am I going to go? I'd already kind of decided an FM25 save, which I now can't do because it was a Build a Nation. So for that to be dropped, you know, maybe I'm not that bothered about it. But for me, it gives me another couple of months to play a video game that I absolutely adore. Like, come on, we're all adults here. You can quite easily go on FM Scout. You can quite easily go and sort out SI and all other places to download data updates and custom start dates. We've done it all before. You know, it's a couple of months for them to get the game right. If it comes out in March and it's fucking terrible, then yeah, okay, I understand. Call for heads. But like, I would prefer them to take an extra couple of months and get it absolutely bang on. Clearly, this is such a huge decision by everyone at Sports Interactive, everyone at Sega as well. Obviously, I don't know where it's being driven from. If it's, it might even be above Sports Interactive. Sports Interactive sort of could have said, yeah, look, we're going to drop this, and somebody's looked at it and gone, oh, I don't think it's worth dropping it. Do you know what I mean? You just don't know. We don't know the full story. But for me, like, no one at Football Manager wanted to do this. Their job, 9 to 5 or whenever, and to be fair, they work some long hours as well, and you see them active on Twitter, you see them active on those forums. They're all, people are always there, and they're working long hours. The last thing they want to do is go against what their, what their business role is, which is to create a video game about Football Manager. So they don't want this, but they've chose to do it, and I think it's the right thing personally. I am disappointed. I can't lie. But at the end of the day, Dave, it means we're going to play some more Network Save. Right?
Yeah,
that's good.
Of course.
And the only thing I can stress, and I tweeted it the minute the news dropped. I saw the news. I read it. I struggled to read it just before Joe adds that in. But I read it, and I'm just sat there and I'm going, yeah, you're joking. And to be fair, I'm glad they put end of March and not 1st of April, because everybody would have genuinely thought it was a joke.
Yeah.
And I'm just sat there and I'm going, okay, it's fine. Like, literally, it's fine. It's just a game. It doesn't affect me. At the end of the day, it doesn't affect me. I don't need to play Football Manager to live, right? I don't. I mean, I'm addicted to it, but I don't need it. I feel sorry for the people that make content on this as a full-time job.
Yeah, I agree.
If this was, I mean, the first thing that me and Dave said, kind of in our little WhatsApp group, when we were talking about the pod and that, oh crap, what are we going to talk about for 4 months? Like, we're going to put the balls on the table. Like, what are we going to talk about for 4 months? Because, we're waiting for that FM25. Normally the beta's out now. We'd be talking about the beta, talking about our beta saves, talking about what we're doing. But look, we've got some fun stuff coming up. We've got a load of guests coming up. We've got like literally the GOAT, and I think you even called him the GOAT. Joe has put a list together of like our way that we're gonna get out of this, and we're gonna go bring some incredible content every single week, some incredible guests, and hopefully, I don't want to promise too much, David, but hopefully, Mr. Friday Night FM himself will come on the pod and discuss things.
Fingers crossed.
Fingers crossed. So my big question to you is, you are Miles Jacobson, okay? Just if you didn't know, you're Miles Jacobson. You make the decisions. What do you do next? You've got 4 months until FM25 comes out. You've got very disgruntled fans out there.
Yeah.
What are you doing now?
So, I mean, very quickly going back to some of the points, I think a lot of the frustration is in regards to the date of March. Now, if that's the date for full release, every chance that the beta, or they gave it a slightly different name, didn't they? I can't think what they called it. Some advanced,
advanced
access. Every chance of that, and I think that's probably a better name for it, because that pretty much means beta is normally when it's unfinished. Advanced access sounds like it would be, a much more polished game and pretty much the final product. That every chance, if that's early, by early March, mid-March, we're going to be playing the games. It's a little bit sooner than that, but I think a lot of people's concern is that end of March is pretty much end of the football season. For the especially within the European leagues.
It's the witching hour. It's genuinely when it starts to get interesting. But
I know. But this is what I was saying earlier about FM26. Like, if they're gonna say, right, we're gonna release FM25 in March, and then FM26 is gonna be next March, then in terms of how I can't figure out how the licensing would work, and transfers and stuff. Like, I just don't understand how it would work really. Or FM25, if you're going to try and nudge FM26 again, just maybe before Christmas of next year, the lifespan of FM25 is going to be so short. So it'd be intriguing to see, for argument's sake, if the retail price is lower or anything like that, really. But sort of going back to your point, what would I do? I think the most popular point people are making at the moment is release an official transfer update. Like you said, it's already available to download if you want to off third-party websites. The issue Football Manager, I have no doubt, and this is not an excuse, that's the wrong word, but this is an issue that Football Manager have had before is due to licenses. They've signed deals with the Premier League. Certain players have maybe retired, or clubs promotions and stuff like that. Basically, throughout the FM24, Football Manager would have had licenses for certain clubs or certain players, and for FM25 they would not have had those licenses. So I think that would be a concern and an issue, that they can't just release an official transfer update. I don't think it's as easy as that. I wish there was a world where, if Unity or if the match engine was the problem, I wish there was a world where they could bring out FM25 as is with the FM24 match engine, so they could theoretically continue with a new game, but just with a current match engine. Hold their hands up and say, look, there's certain things in this game that that aren't in it, which we wanted them to be. So people still have a fresh look at a new game. Continue again, maybe at a reduced retail price. I don't know. And then from next edition onwards, you put all your eggs in that basket and you get the best ever Football Manager by far. So I think they're putting a lot of pressure on themselves now for FM25, that it's got to be unbelievable. It has to be. Because if you're delaying that 3 or 4 months and it's not a good game, or not like, oh my God, this is unbelievable, then, like I said, I think their reputation's already taken a bit of a dent. That would be a massive kick in between the legs if we get that game in March and it's bang average. So, I think every fan base of every game, or if it's a football club, or if you're a fan of FIFA or a fan of Football Manager, a fan of Call of Duty or whatever, there are entitled fans, because ultimately when you're paying money for something, you want something brilliant, you want it to be worth your while. But like I said, there was a lot of overreaction I felt last week, but it's a real disappointment, because I was really looking forward to the game anyway.
I get what your kind of argument with the entitlement, but then, like, surely those same people that are moaning will be exactly like I said in a different pod. The same people that come early March, where's the access? When's the beta out? It'd be the same people that would be moaning if they dropped an incredibly shit game next week or next month or whatever.
For sure.
Look, I think licensing is a big issue. I think. Surely they must sign a contract for a certain period of those licenses. So it might even be that, like, normally the new game's out and ready for end of November. So they might even have to stop selling the game. So I don't think you can still buy old versions of the game anymore. Yeah, apparently I think
by the end of this year, FM24 normally FM24 would not be on Steam. I don't know if they can extend that maybe for this edition.
It's beyond my knowledge base of kind of what to do, but I mean, it's difficult. Yeah, I think the database update would be good. I'd like to see, and I will also say, guys and girls, if you are listening to the podcast and you have already pre-ordered the game, you are able to refund that. You are able to go in and refund it if you wish to. One thing I will not recommend anybody do is boycott the game, because if you boycott the game, you're literally going to guarantee that this could be the last Football Manager we see, right? You need to support them, in my opinion. And
Surely
obviously,
there's not. Are people suggesting a boycott?
Yeah, people suggest. I've seen everything
God.
on Twitter.
That's got to be a Reddit thing, surely, no?
I've seen a lot of stuff on Twitter. People stating boycott. People stating that we should delete everything that we've ever done with Football Manager. Oh. I just think it is. It's a strange old world out there, mate. It really is. I mean, do you know what I'd like to see? I'd like to see if Football Manager could do something a little bit like the EFL Cup stuff they did back in COVID, or a bit like the World Cup stuff that they did recently, or even if like if Football Manager dropped a few challenges, maybe once a month. So just to try and respark, drop a save file. This is Brighton, let's just say. At Christmas, they're third from bottom. Who can take them to the top, and basically make it quite community-based, and see if they can kind of bring that community back together, offer some prizes out, I've got a shirt there, an FMFC shirt, offer a few of them out, all sorts of things they could do, just try and rebuild that relationship. But, I mean, the question is, that I've read a lot of places, Dave, is about the fact that should they skip FM25? Now, I know you talked about kind of how it would align, and obviously with this one coming out of March and the next one coming out in October, it's not going to happen like that. It can't. I mean, they can't take a reduced cost, because if you're selling a product that costs a certain amount to make that product, you're going to have to, that product, it doesn't get cheaper because it's taken longer to make. It's more expensive, if anything, right? So, in my opinion, I think what we'll see maybe next year FM26 out at Christmas, maybe just before Christmas is due. The year after that, it might be that actually then FM27 is then back to where it needs to be. I think there's going to be a bit of an adjustment coming. But do you think that potentially the thing to do is to completely scrap FM25? Maybe then they can rebuy licensing. It's almost like what they need to do is almost release an FM24.5, right? I think kind of, we can't really skip 25 because obviously the hard work they've done and obviously the databases, but there's so much that's being brought in, and I'm not using this as an excuse because I do not want anyone saying that this is the reason, but it's difficult because a lot of the big, one of the big selling points was that women's football's involved. Yeah. And then how you then put women's football into FM24 would be, I mean, impossible, right? They had to, they had to build what they needed to build. So I don't think you can skip that FM25, and I don't think you could really do an FM24.5. I think we just need to nut up, shut up, get a new save on the go, and wait till FM25. What do you think, Dave?
I was sort of, if I sort of was a very casual FM fan and I didn't know all the sort of ins and outs and all the intricacies of how the game's made or the databases and stuff, I would probably say skip FM25 and let's just, put all your eggs in the FM26 basket. Let's make sure that game's unbelievable. Maybe get away with releasing it a tad earlier, early October, get the full release out there. And, I think that, although you have a lot of disappointment, I think people would sort of appreciate that. But with me knowing, with financials and licenses and so on, and how, like you've said, how hard Sega and Sports Interactive would have worked to get Premier League licenses, for argument's sake. They can't just skip a year of that. Like, they have to have something to show for it. So that's why I think, I would look, I'm sure FM would love as well. Come January, and they're like, hold on, this game is like, sure, it's pretty much ready. Maybe we could bring forward, and that could happen. I think genuinely, I think they're covering their back saying March, but I would love for them to get to January and say, this game is bang on now, so let's maybe look at bringing it out. And by end of Feb, we could be playing a game. You don't know. But yeah, I think they have to bring something out. But like you've sort of mentioned, I'm intrigued, to use one of their phrases. I'm intrigued to see what the roadmap is like for the future. That was a thing when they brought that out, and a week later, the game's been delayed by how long. But I'd be intrigued to see what their roadmap is like now in terms of future releases, like date wise. I think what you said is probably going to be the most likely. Try and get FM26 out, whether it's Christmas or right at the start of the new year, and FM27, which is mad to even be talking about again, 3 editions time almost. FM27 back to sort of what we would call normal, really. But I don't envy them whatsoever. They've got such a difficult, I'm sure a lot of the senior staff there have had sleepless nights because it's not a nice place to be in, especially when you've got hundreds of thousands of people that play your game year after year, if not millions of fans, in fact.
Well, I could say 11 million sales, they said last year, right? Mm-hmm. I guess that's one thing. I think like you got to try and make it into, see it from their side and see it from, so like, let's put it this way. David, I've asked you to come round to fit a fireplace at my house, okay? I want it done on November. Actually, I want it done in October. I want to pay a certain price for it, and I want it done in October. You say to me, look, actually, we started it. It ain't going to get done. We're going to push it back to November, and we'll be finished by then. Okay, fine. Then it's going to go to, actually, we need to go back to March. Parts, we can't get parts. We can't get the labour. We can't get all this stuff. And I turn around and go, yeah, okay, but I want it half the price because I'm only going to use it for half the time. Because you've already, I wanted to, you have lost 4 months, I could use it. It doesn't work like that. It just... I know that's a bit of a shit analogy. I'm just trying to make it a bit like, I can't. It just doesn't work like that. It is the way it is.
It's weird because there are some instances in some walks of life where you can do that, where you can say, well, you've taken the mick or this and this. I want to But when you put it like that, like you've used my line of business for argument's sake, you are right. It's like you're getting this product. I'm paying the money for this product. The Football Manager have paid. Mm-hmm. There's match engine, they've paid however much for the licenses, Unity. It's not like the Premier League are going to say, oh, actually, the game's only going to have a 5-month lifespan. So, we'll give you £1 million or a couple of £1 million back or whatever. It's not going to happen like that. So, that's why it's going to be intriguing to see what they do because they've got... I don't know. It sounds like we're owed something when we're not really, but I think they do have some making... Yeah. They do have some making up to do to a degree. But I would be very intrigued to see how they go about it.
Well, I'm going to put it out there. I don't know whether SI listen to our podcast. We have a few, now Mr. Madden's gone. We used to get a few messages from Mr. Nick Madden saying that he listens. If he's still listening, hello Nick.
Hi Nick.
I hope your new job's going well. But secondly, the open invite. If anyone from SI would like to come on the podcast, have a little chat, discuss. We're not asking for, we're not asking for you to come and give us all the gossip. We're just, if you want to come and talk to the people, feel free to do so. Just DM myself or David or the pod, and we'll get that sorted. There's always a space. Look, we talked about boycotting. We talked about skipping. Whoa, I'm kind of a little bit worried about the franchise that I love. How do you think this is really going to affect the future of FM? Because there's going to be, normally they get a big influx of cash around about now because people are buying the game. They've still got to switch the lights on, still got to run the PC, still got to play all that licensing for these, the teams, and all that jazz. How do you think this is going to go down in the world of Football Manager, man?
Like I said, I think the biggest thing is going to be the reputation and, their sort of the player base. I think that's going to take a massive dent. They've just got to talk, just got to walk the walk. When the game drops in March, they've got to make sure, which I have no doubt will be the best FM to date because, like you said earlier, every FM that comes out I think is the best by far. But if they can drop this new match engine, which we're expecting, and it looks the absolute bee's knees, then I think that way people are going to be like, wow, I've got to jump on that. But you are right, they're not like an absolutely massive company, Sports Interactive. I know they're looked after by Sega, but they've got bills to pay, and it's. I just hope this doesn't put jobs and so on in doubt, because no one at that company, I know how hard they work. Every single person at that company works so hard. So I'm sure they're all as disappointed, if not more disappointed than us, that the game's not dropping as planned as well. But yeah, I think the reputation might take a little dent, but I have no doubt, with the work ethic that company has, within the 12 to 18 months, they'll have everyone, if not more people, back on side.
Yeah, exactly that. And like I said, just I, all I can see is the guys and girls at SI just churning out what they churn out, and that is top quality games. Yes, we're going to be waiting for this one, but we'll talk about it in a bit. But I'm looking for, like I said earlier, I really enjoy this game, and I'm biased because FM24 has been so good. Definitely one of the best they've done. And we'll talk about my new save. I've got 4 months more to do a massive save. How long did it take to do that Siren save? That was a monster save, and I did that in about 3.5, 4 months. I can do another one of them.
I've had people DMing me. For argument's sake, the guy that runs No Context FM, he asked me like weeks ago about a Pentagon challenge.
Yeah.
And he said, "How long does it take to do?" And I told him, he was like, he goes, "Probably not enough time now because FM25 coming out." As soon as the news dropped the day after, he messaged me saying, "Right, what leagues do I need to say?" So this is your chance.
How do I start that?
That save that people at home have been thinking, maybe next year, maybe FM25. Start it now, man. You've got plenty of time. You got at least, like I say, even if they try and bring the game forward early, which is me just, being completely optimistic, but you've still got a good 4 months, I'd say. So more than enough time to do a nice big major save anyway.
Exactly that. And I think that it's time, like you said, it's time for people to go out and make these 4 months into how you want to make it. But talking about saves, I think it's probably a good time. Talk about some saves, Mr. Azzopardi.
Yeah.
Look, just a quick round off of that. My main points go, it's only a game. Chill out, relax, play another save, and we'll see you in March when the new game comes out. But we've got some really cool content coming up about FM24, about FM25, and maybe about everything else. And probably Tottenham. We haven't spoken about Tottenham in a while after they bottled it to Brighton.
Well, we are talking about Tottenham, actually.
Oh, talking about Tottenham. I kind of meant that. Talking about Tottenham, Dave, how's your life at White Hart, the new White Hart Lane?
It's good, man. I'm enjoying it. So, obviously, for people that missed maybe one of the last couple of podcasts, me and Doop started a network save. It was really only for the last few weeks of FM24, but now, I think it could be a hell of a lot more serious. But I'm enjoying it. I hope Doop's enjoying it as well. But it's been a pretty interesting start. Obviously, I'll let Doop give his point of view shortly as well. But basically, we both started. I was Spurs, Doop was Chelsea. No budgets for the first window, so basically, just went into it with the January update, but we didn't sign anyone in the summer. But for the I'm starting really well, so we're just over the halfway point. We're at the start of January 2024 now, and currently I sit top of the Premier League. 21 games played, 17 won, 3 drawn, 1 loss. We'll talk about the loss shortly, I'm sure. But doing really, really well with the team it's quite a small team that Spurs have got, and no real obvious world beaters. I've got the likes of Heung-min Son and so on. I've got good players, but no one like absolutely unbelievable. I think we've just got a really solid and well-rounded squad. When the budgets came out at the start of December for the January window, I got given 5 million. Again, I'll let Duke talk about how much money he got given. But ideally, I wanted possibly another backup striker and another backup centre-back, because I've got, in terms of centre-backs, I've got Romero, I've got Van der Ven, and also got Dragusin, the Romanian centre-back. That's all really. They've got a few decent 21s centre-back Spurs, to be fair, but nothing of note. But very quickly, in terms of results, and some big results I had towards the start of the season, I beat Man City 3-0. In our Europa League group, we got drawn against Sociedad, Brest and Qarabag. We won every single game in that, so we qualified top of our Europa League group. Unfortunately knocked out in the 4th round of the Carabao Cup against Leeds. But other than that, in the league, we're doing really well. We beat Arsenal 3-2 in the North London derby after being 2-0 down. With 10 men, we came back and beat them 3-2. Beat Newcastle 4-1 recently, just beating Brighton 6-1 as well in the league in my last league game. So we're doing really well. Top scorer at the moment is Solanke, got 23 goals in all competitions. So in the league he's got 12 in 20, but doing really well in Europe at the moment. But yeah, I'm enjoying it, dude. I don't know about. I'll quickly say sorry about my transfer updates, because I know you'll have a lot of players. So Yves Bissouma I've got who hasn't really played a hell of a lot for me. He's set to go to PSG for 50 to 60 million with add-ons. So we're getting quite a big amount of money come in. Jed Spence is about to go to Dortmund for up to 15 million. So I'm looking at a couple of options. One of them is a right back is Ivan Frenada, who's a really good young right back. So he'll be a backup to basically replace Jed Spence. I'm getting in for just under 2 million, which is an unbelievable piece of business, I think. And Laporte, I tried to get him on a free transfer, but he's wanting like 280k or something like that. So for now, although I think he'd be brilliant, I'm sort of steering away from him for now. But I've got a couple of options lined up for central midfielders. One of those being, I think, I was looking at the guy from Benfica, Koksu, the Turkish guy. So, yeah, we'll have a lot of money to play with. But now, Doop, especially as the save is going to maybe be a bit longer, I need to be a little bit cleverer with the finances rather than chucking everything at certain players. But, yeah, that's my side of things at the moment. Clear, top of the league, clear by 5 points, just in front of you at the moment.
Yeah, what's that second? Out of the 21 games we've played, we've won 16, drawn 1 and lost 4. The 4 that we've lost have been Man City away, Arsenal away, Man United away, Liverpool at home. So, like, but the annoying bit is it's 4-1, 4-1, 4-1, 3-1. That's mainly because it's going into a close bit at the end and I'm trying to chuck players forward.
Yeah.
I'll be honest, my biggest issue is scoring goals. Your goal difference is 42.
Yeah.
Goal difference mine is 19.
Yeah.
You know, we're just struggling with scoring, putting the ball in the back of the net. So I've scored 44 goals to your 62, and I've only conceded 5 more than you. So we're way up behind you on goal difference, right? So not as bad as City have only conceded 13 goals, by the way. That's mental. So yeah,
3 of them were to me as well.
Yeah, that's mad. So yeah, we've been doing quite well. We're obviously in Europa Conference League. That's quite straightforward. We've won all 6 of our games. We got drew against Anderlecht, which was quite nice because obviously I spent some time at Anderlecht in a previous save. Shamrock Rovers as well, the Irish team, which is pretty cool. They've got Michael O'Neill as their favoured personnel, the ex-Stoke manager.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean it's good for them. You know, they've done quite well in that league. They came 3rd, but just level on points of Anderlecht, and they actually managed to beat Anderlecht at home 1-0. So big for Irish football, in my opinion. Mm-hmm. We also got knocked out of the Carabao Cup early, so it's not going to be one of us that wins that. I got knocked out to City, unfortunately. And I've drew Everton in the FA Cup after beating Ebbsfleet 6-1 or 6-2 or whatever it was. But the league really, I mean, probably our best performance. We've been kind of like, it's been strange, man. Like Dave, obviously we're in the call, we're chatting, and you have to be honest here, right? There's not a lot of the times, but there's been times where Dave will go, oh, their goalkeeper's just passed it to Werner. Oh, Werner scored. And it's like, oh, we've got a penalty. That was never a penalty. Oh, this has just happened. Oh, we're 2-0 down. We've won 4-3 after the referee's given us 77 penalties.
I've never seen either so many late goals. So I scored like some 95th, 96th, 97th minute winners. I've never seen so many defenders or, like you said, goalkeepers pass me the ball so through on goal.
Yeah.
And I have missed a couple, to be fair. I think Son skied one in one of the last games. Or, like you say, penalties. Again, absolutely loads of them. So I am being very, very fortunate, and it could come to a point where that luck dries up at some point. I'm hoping it may be at a point where I'm maybe 6, 7, 8, 9 points clear at the top. But yeah, I've been quite fortunate that like my runs of fixtures have been quite nice. Like when I'll come to my defeat in a minute, but then after that defeat, I played Arsenal and Liverpool, and I thought I've got to beat these or get points against these. Otherwise, you know, I can't go 3 games without a win. The Arsenal game we beat 3-2. The Liverpool game, which I didn't mention, was so frustrating because this was the run of fixtures right up to Christmas. Liverpool had an all under 21 backline. Kelleher in goal as well. They had a really poor team, and we drew 1-1. We absolutely battered them away at Anfield. So that was frustrating because that did feel like 2 points drop. But yeah, I'll hold my hands up, and I've sort of admitted it when I'm chatting to Doop. Like, I've been very fortunate with certain things.
I mean, it's not. I mean, I'm hosting the game. It's not even like you're hosting the game. Like, it is just what it is. But it's been remarkable. We have seen some bangers of the goals as well. João Felix scored an absolute sweet free kick as well. But yeah, it's been good. I would say that my performance, and it isn't just because it was against Dave, but my performance of the season was when we beat Tottenham.
That's my loss then. Yeah.
Yeah, there you go. So Moses Caicedo opened the score, and after 23 minutes, we were pretty much. So basically, the way that we're playing is we're giving them the ball, we're letting them play, and then we are breaking on the counter. And like I said, we are struggling to score goals. We created so many chances to only two of your chances, but Song scored it just got crossed in, didn't it? And he was open goal, just tapped it in, and it was like your only real chance on the 80th minute. So we went into 1-1, and then I changed a few things up, and Enzo Fernandez scores a banger from a volley from the edge of the area from a corner, and then Mickey van der Ven got an own goal. So we beat you 3-1. I don't think it was a 3-1 game. I'll be honest. I think 2-1 was probably a fairer result. I do think we were the better side, but I've been listening to the way that Dave's been saying, "Oh, look, we're getting down the wing, we're doing this, we're doing this." So I just kind of set up compacting quite deep, so he couldn't get in behind. The one time he managed to get in behind because we were attacking quite hard, and he got us on the transition. You scored. Mm-hmm. Literally went to, was it Kulusevski that got the assist? Went out to him. He whipped it across, and it was the only time he got in behind. Apart from that, we were very comprehensive. So we come out of that. We then lost the City in the next game, and to be fair, we've been quite good in the league. But we had a nice little run: Southampton, Leicester, Villa, Palace. I've got Bournemouth, then I got United. But then again, I've got a nice little run in February. But then I've got it just seems to be the shit games all the time. So I decided we need to bring a striker in, and I didn't really. I had 52 million. I'm not gonna lie. I needed a centre back because Tosin wanted to leave. A lot of players. The thing is, yes, Chelsea's had a big turnover of players, but the problem we've had that we got at Chelsea is the fact that we are in the Conference League. People's heads get turned very, very quickly because they're like, "Oh, I'll go here." So Tosin wanted to go to Lyon. Lyon are also in the Conference League, but he said he wanted to go play European football. I made no sense, but he went for 15 million. We got him for a free in the summer, and he went for 15 million. I then needed to replace him. I then went and spent quite a lot of money on Mark Gay. Because we needed homegrownness as well. Good player. He's only 6 foot, which is short for me for a centre back, but he is playing in the middle of 3. Very much similar to real life. Reece James got injured with a broken leg very early on. Ben Chilwell got injured very early on. So I have brought in David Cabrera from Milan. Just for a couple of, I think it was about 5-6 million. I'll be honest, I can't remember exactly. Maybe actually, if I hit that, 7.5. Just a comprehensive right back that can do a job for us. I don't think he's going to be my overall out and out right back, but at the moment he's just covered because we have nobody. And then I decided I needed a striker. We got Nicholas Jackson, and we got Nkunku who can play up there. Unfortunately, Nkunku's had a bid put on him that I can't turn down because it's just too good, which is 75 million from Liverpool. For a player that Chelsea purchased, wrong button. Chelsea purchased for 50 million, and this is his first season, to turn around and get 75 million. I just can't say no to that. So I decided to let him go. He was playing like the attack midfielder role for me, sometimes out on the right, sometimes in the middle. But he wanted to leave because he had offers. I mean, when you actually look, he is wanted by Liverpool, United, City, Milan, Barcelona, Real Madrid. Everybody wants him. So his head was turned. So I let him go. And we've got a lot of money in for him. We've also had a funny bid for Reece James as well, which was 47 million from Liverpool, which is mental. For a player that's injured a lot, again, I've accepted that. Cucurella has had a bid from Milan. I've accepted that. I don't even know if Dave knows all of this. So he's learning now. Pedro Neto has attracted a few offers and potentially could be on his way out. Quite a good fee of about 40-50 million, which is less than Chelsea bought him for, but that's nonetheless. Cole Palmer's kind of been a bit disruptive. He's been okay, but he's not IRL Cole Palmer, right? He's not as good as he is in game or as he is in real life. So I'm willing to listen to offers for him. So we needed to buy a striker. We've only got Nicholas Jackson, and I just need somebody in the system that I play. Is yes, we need to have a quick transition, but once we've transitioned, I just need somebody to be there. Doesn't need to be the most physical player. Just needs to be somebody that I know will put the ball in the back of the net. So I've gone for Gabriel Barbosa on a free transfer. We know he is called Gabby Goal. He's going to get a goal. He's already scored in the Premier League on his first appearance, and in the FA Cup on his first appearance. So at the moment, he's doing exactly what I want him to do. But I thought, I've got a space for an attack mid now and Cuckoo's going, and I would like to put somebody there that I've never managed before in my life. Up steps a young 37-year-old Lionel Messi. Mental. In the FA Cup game, he got 1 goal, 2 assists. It was against Ebbsfleet, so to calm down a little bit. But yeah, it was just quite funny to bring him in, and then the first thing he does is goes to Ebbsfleet. But his attributes, man, are just still insane. And
physically, he looks good as well, though.
Yeah,
still.
for 37. I signed him on a two-year deal. It's 18-month deal. He's being paid £425 a month.
What was that?
I would say it's £425,000 a month.
Oh my god,
£425,000 a month. For Lionel Messi. Yeah, he's in the van. So we kind of looking at it. I'm quite happy with that. The money that we've sold for everybody else, I just want to kind of link up a left back, somebody cheap, just to play for the rest of the season, and then I want to just get a right winger in. Even though we have, let me just put this all out. We have Jadon Sancho. I think he's crap, mainly because he's crap. Mudryk, João Felix. We've got Pedro Neto that will play out there. We've got Madueke that will play out there. We've got Datro Fofana. Nicholas Jackson will play out there. Yeah, just none of them are ticking the box for me. So I've decided that we're going to go out and buy somebody amazing. Yes, we've already tried Cristiano Ronaldo. He won't come, which is annoying. He wants Champions League football, which is not what I can offer him. But yeah, that's pretty much kind of where I'm at, Dave. We are making moves in the transfer market, and hopefully, whilst we're editing the pod tonight. I say you're going to edit it, but I'll be here in spirit. We'll be able to get some games in and finish the January anyway, and we'll see how that goes.
Mm-hmm. No, I'm looking forward to it. I'm obviously I don't think you can beat a network save. Like, network saves are elite. It's finding somebody that you can sort of both be there at the same time for a few hours at a time. And I mean, even we found it difficult at times, but if you can align yourselves to, if you know a pal that you can commit to maybe 3 or 4 nights a week and get 2 or 3 hours in, it's so good, like so fun. It just adds a different dynamic to a save. So yeah, I think we could get a good few, seasons out of this, and if it runs its course, Doop, every chance we could go and do something else as well with, a different league, different nation.
Do you know what? I'm going to put out there. Joe probably won't listen to this anyway.
He will.
But I would love, and I don't know how we'd do it, and I know you've already been there, so you probably won't. He won't. Maybe you won't. He won't. Somebody won't want to do it. I want to go to Portugal.
Portugal's elite, though. They're so good at it. They're so good.
The 3 of us, Porto, Sporting, Benfica. Now, you were who last time?
I was Porto, and Joe was Benfica.
Okay, so mix it up so you're not the same teams, but there's a good 3 that we could be, and then we could just go with that. And I know, Joe spent a lot of time in Portugal this year, so, maybe he's not going to be that easy to convince, but we'll see. We'll see. Any news on the penalty, or have I been taking you away from that? Because you've got a little bit longer. Maybe that's why they've delayed it, just so you can get this penalty finished. I
agree. I was going to say they've only delayed it. I've played a little bit, nothing of note yet. So yeah, I'm still like I said, it's sort of my work save, so it's and it's been busy.
Sorry, Mum.
Yeah. So no, there was one game. I think it was the Sao Paulo Championship final, the first leg, and I got absolutely battered. I was like, we lost like 5-0. I was like, what's going on? But yeah, we've sort of just started the league, so yeah, I'll try and hopefully this week try and get a bit more of that done. So maybe give you guys a bit more of a worthwhile update next time. But yeah, still very much on it. But I need to make that my priority, really, to try and get that sorted sooner rather than later. But I suppose I've got loads of time now, haven't I?
You got loads of it. Yeah, awesome, man. I finished my Atalanta save.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, do you know what? I finished it. So last time we spoke, it was I think we were quite well into it. Hadn't lost a game yet. Top of the league and all that jazz. We lost a few in the Champions League. We lost to Salzburg in our group, but apart from that, we got through our group. We actually went out in a thrilling game against Aston Villa in the round of 16. It was 2-2 after the first leg. They went 1-0 up. We then equalised. We then went 2-1 up. They then equalised. We went 3-2 up. They scored in the 90th minute, and then Yuri Tillerman scored in the 118th minute. And it was just we played it the morning of the Man United Aston Villa game, and like I even think I actually didn't watch that game on TV, but I got a text from Joe saying it was nothing like your game against Villa. It was like literally the complete opposite. And then on that very Sunday morning, we played Torino. This is in March, by the way, right? We played Torino. And before the treat, we should probably jump to. I'm getting a bit funny here. We should probably jump to before because we actually added some players in January as well. I went and bought Gedson Fernandez because we had a lot of people sniffing around Ederson, and Darun was getting very angry with me because I wouldn't play him as a centre mid ball winning midfielder, but I played him as a DM ball winning midfielder because, I mean, that's the thing to get upset about. So I went and bought Gedson Fernandez. He's kind of been passed around a little bit of the Turkish leagues. He's been at Benfica, obviously been at Tottenham, he's been at Galatasaray. You know, he just hasn't lit it up anywhere he's gone. And I'll be honest, he was pretty good for us, but it was just another option. And his attributes, when you look at his attributes, it screams to me he's a good player. And there's a player in there somewhere. So I took a chance on him. We only paid 15 million for him, which kind of, for that sort of set of attributes, is cheap as chips, in my opinion. So we brought him in. We also then went and brought, we needed a striker because we only had Skamaka as our lone striker. And I was just to be honest, I was getting a bit concerned that he would get injured and we've got no one to come in and be a striker. So I went to Manchester United, knocked on the door. Ed Woodward? No, it's not, is it? He's not there anymore on this save, is he? No. So because it's an updated database. So it would be the Newcastle geezer, Dan Ashworth. Hello, mate. Rasmus Højlund. He used to play for us. I'd love to have him. No. We want you to pay £4 million a month that he's not playing. How about I pay his wages, which is 80 grand a week, but at the end of the 6 months loan, I'll give you 160 million. Only if I decide to give you that, an optional fee. Yeah, great idea. Come on in. God. So I promised to pay them 159 million if I wanted to keep him, and I paid his wages. He wasn't really getting the game time at Manchester United, to be perfectly frank. He played 10 games, no goal, 1 assist. Didn't really work out for him. Wasn't that good for us, but it was, it was a good signing for us. Whilst we were there, we kind of sat down with Dan Ashworth and I said, look, I've got Pedro Neto on loan from Chelsea and he is absolutely killing it. I could really do with another winger. What about Ahmad? He used to play for Atalanta. Is he up for loan? We're not willing to loan him to you. How about if I give you 40 million? Well, can I have him? Yeah, no problem. So I bought him back for 40 million, which, I'll be honest, I've been trying to kind of think and play the game as realistically as possible. We had the chance to go and get Inacio, Diamonde, these like wonder kid centre-backs to pair up with Scalvini. We got Kivio and Sutalo, players that would probably be more likely to go. We had the chance to go and get Victor Gyökeres up top, but actually he wouldn't actually play. In real life, he's not going to go from there to there. So again, we then dropped back and went for Rasmus Højlund on loan. And again, the only reason we went for Rasmus was because he had the ties with Atalanta before, same with Diallo. And then also I got Fagoli from Juventus on loan, which is really cool when I get to it in a minute about Fagoli, right? So we went through the league. We lost to Torino with a 91st minute winner by Duvan Zapata. Now, he scored a brace, so he scored the first goal in the 60th minute. Rasmus Højlund got our penalty in the 73rd minute, thinking, phew, yes, we've drawn, but at least we keep our kind of unbeaten streak going. and then Duvan Zapata steps up on the 91st minute to get his brace. The bit that really frustrates me, Dave, do you know where he played last year?
Yeah, for you boys.
And the last 5 years before that?
Yeah.
He played for Atalanta. So, yeah, that was a bit of a kick in the teeth. So, kind of, I'll be honest, I was gutted because I wanted to go unbeaten. But then it kind of took the stress off it because I thought, you know what, if we now don't go unbeaten, we don't go unbeaten. And then we had the league wrapped up by May. We beat, I think we beat Udinese middle to end of April, which meant that we won the league because Milan then dropped points that weekend as well. And we also played Roma in the Coppa Italia semi-final, 2-legged, beat them both times. And we were moving into the final few games of the season. Now, first was us, second was Milan, third was Juve at the time. And I'm quite glad we had it finished because we had, in May, we had to play Milan in Milan. We had to play Juve in Juve for the league as well, last two games. So if we didn't have it wrapped up, it would be very, very difficult. But again, it was already wrapped up. We'd already rested a few players because we had the Coppa Italia final against Juventus. Battered Milan 3-0 away from home in the league. We beat Juve 1-0 away from home in the league. But in the Coppa Italia final, we battered Juve. Like, Dave, very similar to the way that we played you, but we actually... Juventus didn't have a sniff. They had like one shot on target the whole game. Got to 90th minute, it's 0-0. And you're like, what's going on? So in the 107th minute, with literally a few minutes to go, I then decide to sub on Fagoli. Now, some places in loan rules means that if you can't play against your parent club, well, you can here in Italy. So I brought him on in the 107th minute. In the 112th minute, Amad Diallo gets wiped out as he cuts in from the left-hand side. It's about 30 yards out on the right-hand side of the box. It's a free kick. Fagoli steps up. 2 steps back, 1 step forward, boom, top bin, scores. I go nuts, by the way, because it's just like the narrative of it, right? We then go on to win against Juve in the Coppa Italia final because their player, who is being paid by them, because I paid 0 of his wages, by the way, scores the winner. And then we go on to win that. The final game we played Genoa, we lost to them in the league because, so that was our second loss of the league, because we were just playing everyone that hadn't really played that much in the kind of save. And I kind of just put a knife in it. We won the league by 13 points. Far too easy. Yes, we built a nice little system, which is now, to be fair, the system that we're running in the network save at the moment, which suits Chelsea quite well because of the 3 centre-backs. I've got 2 wing-backs. I've got a DM and a volante with a shadow striker offset with an advanced forward, because you know me, I like my asymmetric, and an inside forward on attack, and it just seems to be working really well. And yeah, it's been a really cool save. I wanted to go out there with the fact I wanted to do 3 at the back, and I thought, I'll be honest, I thought it would take a couple of seasons to kind of tiptoe through, but unfortunately it didn't. It was done very, very quickly, and you know, we delivered their first ever Serie A title, their second ever Coppa Italia title, and you know, we're already in the favoured person out, ahead of Gasperini, which obviously Gasperini got them their Europa League title. So, and we're playing a very similar way. One of the players I will mention, if you are playing a vanilla database, he will be somewhere else. But if you're playing the updated database, he's just recently moved. In the vanilla, he is at Cagliari. Is it Cagliari?
I know you mean.
No, I'm trying to read who it was. I can't actually see who he just played for. He was on loan for Inter last season, but because it's an updated database, I can't actually see. But it looks like that badge. Anyway.
What's his name?
It's Raul Bellanova.
Oh, yeah, I know.
Right back. And I'll tell you what, mate. He is phenomenal. He's only 25 years of age. You can probably pick him up for 20-odd million.
Torino, I think he played for before.
Was it
Atalanta.
Torino? I can, for some reason, like you said about your history being bugged.
He was at Cagliari, and then he moved to Torino
right.
for the 23-24
It looks
season.
like Cagliari badge. I'll be honest. It's like the it's got the St George's Cross in the middle. kind of thing.
Yeah. And
I think that's that badge. I didn't want to say it just in case I was wrong. But yeah, he is very
Torino
good.
at the start of FM24 though, on a vanilla database.
Okay, so there you go. So if you've got a vanilla database, go and look him out. Bellanova, a complete right back, can actually play right winger. He's got 16 acceleration, 17 pace. His burst of pace down the right hand side creates so much space for him to whip in. It is phenomenal. So that is my one shout. He was probably my out and out best player on the save, behind Skamaka, who scored every single goal possible. He got 23 goals. Bellanova got 15 assists in the league, and then Zaniolo got highest rating, who's on loan from Galatasaray. He is again a very good player, but a player that I've spoken about a lot because I used to sign him back in I think it was 17, 18 when he was kind of around Inter and Roma. He just was an awesome player, and then very much shocked the world by going to Galatasaray. Well, not the world, but me anyway, to go to Galatasaray. But yeah, that's it. So we finished that. We're now looking at a new save. Obviously, we discussed the fact that we've got a little bit more time. I've got a few ideas. I've got a bit of a Twitter thread that I'm going to release tomorrow before we go live on Tuesday, which is today as the pod comes out. Check out on Twitter. I've got a few save ideas. And then we're going to go live on Tuesday with the one that I decided to go for. But kind of a few things I've been touting is the GOAT Challenge again. I don't know if you remember me doing the GOAT Challenge last time. If you don't know what that is, you start unemployed completely with nothing and nothing. You go do a Pentagon Challenge. Once you've done the Pentagon Challenge, you then need to go to the top of the Hall of Fame, which is a monster challenge. And last year it took me. I've just loaded up the old save file. But I'm pretty sure it took me from November to July, so I might need to put some hours in. But I think we had a big break in the middle of that, to be fair. But yeah, we'll have a little look and we'll see how it goes. But yeah, that's pretty much the massive updates I've given you there, dude. Because funny enough, it's a Football Manager podcast, and I play the game.
No, enjoyed it, mate. No, enjoyed
Awesome. I think we don't need to do a quiz, mainly because I've not written one and neither have you. But yeah, that brings episode 372 to a close. You can find the links for each of us in the podcast description or by visiting 5starpotential.com, where you can find all of our latest Football Manager content. 5-Star Potential is available on YouTube, iTunes, Spotify, and most of the popular podcast apps and platforms, with a new podcast released every single week. Thank you all for listening. There'll be more from us next week. Say goodbye, Azapade.
Goodbye, Azapade.
Goodbye, Mrs. Azapade. That was to your mum, not your sisters.